You get to press more buttons.
Got it.
Ultimate security.
Right?
All right. Okay, so now we're all here. Let's take a few deep breaths. Okay. Cool. All right. So thank you everyone for sharing everything. Yeah, I do like it written because then I see I print it and I highlight and I tune into it. It's not the same on or video, I lose it. This I can keep looking. I know it's a little extra typing, but you know, it also puts it out there for you. So this time, all you guys that there were statements in most of these that were like, I've never had this happen. Or I thought that was really good. That's exciting. So you guys can pick who wants to go first and we can just talk about it because you're putting everything here. You're getting more clear. So it'd be just talking about, I feel like, how are you feeling about it? There's only three of us. I mean, only three of you, you know what I mean? So I figure 20 minutes a person and then see after that. Then that way we kind of keep it a little guided. So who would like to go first? Well,
I
there's
can
only
if you want. I can go.
one of us gonna have to do it.
I can go first.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Actually, it's been since our session. It's really been going really good. That realigning me.
You're sawed in half.
I saw it in half
Yes.
part, right? Yeah, I have to say that since then, it was like I really felt more, all I could say is whole. I didn't even, it was hard to compare it because like when you kept asking, have you felt off or anything? Probably no, because it's probably, I've been off for so long, it's been like a norm.
Mhm.
But
So now you have a comparison.
But I can honestly say that since then, I have definitely felt more complete. And also understanding what happened in that past current life with the animals and stuff like that. That too has definitely put me in a different mindset and working to let that go. What it has done is definitely, I definitely feel more whole, like I said, and I'm feeling more, like you said, the clarity of things just coming and everything. It's definitely bringing up some anger.
Okay.
That I've had, must have stuff from that past life, and then it kind of came in through and going through what I had gone through in my early childhood and stuff, some suppressed anger. And I figured that's probably what I was been bypassing for so long, is because it's like not releasing and working out that anger. So it's been good. It's really been good. I've had a few, moments here and there where I really had some hardcore, just like really like, oh, whoa. And journaling and releasing. So all in all, it's been feeling good. In fact, I keep feeling myself more and more, like, again, like I said in the last texting, I just feel more propelled, and I feel more like ready to really embark on, starting the business. And it feels good, because for so long, I have like always been like, why is there a part of me? This is probably why there was that split, because I was like, there's just something that kept holding me back. And it was like, I know it's something subconscious, because all up in here in my head, and I'm like, I know I want to go forward. But then it was like, it just never, something always felt like it was holding me back. I couldn't explain it, but it made sense. And once we did that session, it has definitely shifted a lot. So yeah, I've been really making some strides and I really thinking about ways I can reconnect with some of these people that I've made connections with over the past few years that have been kind of waiting for me to bring the business forward and stuff. So
That's great.
thank you. I
Oh,
just
you're
gotta say thank you. It's felt great.
That's awesome. Well, everything you shared, I'm excited to see. Your ideal client just showed up, and you're
Oh God, when he walked in the door and we started talking, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is like the ideal person I want to start with. You know, it's like you said, it's like where I know the most, and like getting it down to that one ideal client. So, you know, other things will unfold, and I know other stuff will unfold as time goes, but it was just so refreshing, you know, when someone is that interested in wanting to make changes in their animal's life. And it was literally, like I said, almost even a replica. It reminded me of me when I went through and came across my rescue dog years ago that kickstarted most of this. It was literally so many parallels that it was just like mind blowing. So I just pray he calls. Not, I know another one will come in.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
gonna
now
work
you're
out.
clearer on the person and what.
Yes.
I liked everything you shared, what your, the nutrition, the muscle testing, and all the things that you plan on doing. So you're clearer. So
Yeah.
he will contact you. Others will, because you know who it is. So it's
Mhm.
easier for that to align and show up for you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And of course it'll evolve and you'll tweak it as things
Yeah.
go and see. It's kind of like this. I had an idea and it's evolving in its own way. I mean,
Mhm.
y'all are experiencing things that I wanted you to experience. I hoped for you to experience, but I don't know you. It's gonna be what happens with you.
No,
That's
you know,
awesome.
and I do say I love it because I just feel like regardless, it's God, it's just helping so much to learn. I shouldn't say learn or relearn, right? We're like relearning all this initially because it's all in us to do it this way. But definitely getting in that space and really honing in again, like you said, getting clear on everything, on with everything that we're trying to manifest or bring into light, or just hone in on a daily basis, one thing at a time on everything. So, and it's nice because again, with the energy blast and all that too, it's nice to, I know it sounds crazy, but I enjoy that it's pushing up things that I'm, the fragments and
no.
stuff, because I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired.
I do that too. I think everybody who's doing this, you want the stuff to come out. It's what keeps you
Yes.
from not.
Yeah, I've had so many
Come out.
years of living, and not working on it, right? And then when you start working on it, it's just like I've lived a lot of life, for other people, and lived around so much negativity and stuff. And it's just like, no, sometimes people are like, they don't want to bring it up. I want to bring it up.
Mhm.
I do enjoy that it's coming up.
That's good.
I don't want to come back and relive this. I want to do everything I need to do this time around.
Well, I believe that this
And not carry it over.
Is it? I don't believe it will be carried over, but it's all going to come up in this one.
Yeah, it is coming.
Yeah.
It keeps coming, but that's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. I just feel like if you just stay open and let it flow, it's just going to get easier, and all of that's going to come in. And you just get, stay clear and know that they're coming, and then take inspired action to, like you said, reach out to those people. You'll know when they feel that's kind of like, like a love connection, when you're like, oh, we walked in and oh my God. It was about the dog though, but
I know.
the person was included. But that feeling of there it is.
Yeah.
So just you can tune in energetically to him since you've met him, and just basically like send him the message,
Yeah, you're right. I do know that. Yeah. And he even showed me a picture of the dog. So I even have that, a nice mental picture of the dog as well.
Yeah, so we can communicate energetically with people.
Yep.
like make that,
Send those distance telepathic messages, like,
like that call. Yeah. So
yeah.
just see him and talk to him and
Mhm.
know that him or others, if it's not, he's not your first client, there will be. But
Yes.
got it
That just
really,
got the ball rolling.
yeah, that connection was made.
Mhm.
That's really cool. Yeah. It's because
Yeah.
while it's in your head, it's great too. But when the real things start popping up, it's like, oh,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's I get a lot of people coming in the store, and it's just like it gets hard on some levels too, because I'm kind of limited with what we have at the store to work with or to talk about, let alone, like I said, she anyway, yeah, with me not promoting myself,
Oh, yeah.
it makes it's just hard, especially now that I know where I'm headed, what I want to do. It's
Then
there's
imagine
limits.
that. Imagine that locations are going to want to work with you to help,
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
adds a benefit. And so
Yeah.
if you really wanted to be this person, then again, energetically work
Yeah.
on imagining her going, you know what? I see how wonderful you are with the clients or the customers. Let's revisit what is it that you're doing and how can you promote it?
Good
And
point. Yes.
then you just
Good point.
you open yourself up and imagine that you just talk. And if
Yeah.
somebody wants a connection, you're not promoting yourself by them asking you, as long as that's not an issue. But when people say, well, how do I get in contact with you? Or how can you share more with me?
Mhm.
They're asking you. So it's not like you're handing out cards, just going, hey, you want to work with me?
That's true. That's true.
So just imagine them coming to you.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah. So by the next one, I feel like you'll have a client. You
I
have
hope
all
so.
your how much you're charging and packages set up.
It's semi do.
Okay.
That's been
So if
the work
somebody
that's
said,
been-
I'm ready to pay you, would you be ready to take the money?
I could. I
Okay.
could. I
Okay.
haven't had it written down, but I do have enough figures and ballparks to work with that I could easily just say, all right, just to be able to get the ball rolling and,
Okay.
and do it. Yes.
Okay.
I actually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. You want to be clear on that too. Because if somebody says they want to pay you, you go, oh.
Yes.
Oh,
No.
let me figure that out. That have
No.
something
No.
to give
No.
them.
That's kind of been in the works for quite a while too. So I definitely know ranges and things like
Okay.
that.
So
I
you're going to
do
have like
both.
different ways of working with you. The
Yeah.
advanced client who wants something really high end and somebody who wants something
Yeah,
small.
something basic. Yeah, it's going to be a combination. I know I'm going to have probably an hourly fee for certain things. There's going to be package pricings. There's going to be what I call a la carte services. Because I can just do if they someone just wants basic nutrition test to find out what's the best and optimal diet for them and products, energy work, that can be just done, as a basic service as well.
So
even
then
if they
that
want
might be your next step, is to start actually
Yeah,
creating.
getting that.
Yeah. So if somebody asks to work with you, you have a way to say, okay, here's what I have, but start really forming your packages, your a la carte,
Mhm.
yeah. And then you can let them know the options and what's best for their animal from what they tell you.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Anything else?
That's pretty much it right now.
Okay.
I'm taking a business class on financials with small business right now at Macomb College. So that's kind of taking up a little bit of time right now as well with this right now. So I'm trying to keep things simple as possible. But yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right. Well, it sounds like you're dialing it in. So, and you're already connecting. So then some of that stuff that's coming up, we can work on in the next session.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring in there? Or whatever else might present itself. I might wake up in the morning.
Gonna say, yeah.
So
Never
some other body
fails.
part cut off. No, just,
Once I set that appointment, it never, just like with my therapist and stuff, it never fails. My guides know what I need to address at the time, so they definitely push it forward.
okay.
They're like, okay, this is what we're gonna work on. Whoever you're working with, this is what we're gonna be working on.
Very good. Okay. Cool. Well, then just keep us posted as
Yes, for
and
sure.
share. You can share your
Yeah.
packages and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've had enough courses on, things like that. So there might be some feeling into, oh, well, maybe you want to put this there or whatever.
Okay.
Just help you.
No, definitely.
okay.
I will definitely keep putting things in there and out there just so that it's getting it out there, it's putting it down, and then and any feedback would definitely be very helpful. So thank you.
And just imagine him coming to you, more people, just let it flow. And then pet stores, when you're at, others start to want to offer, promote you or have you at least be able to be in there so that that's something, for their customers.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
I had the thought, Shannon,
Mhm.
while you all were talking, to actually put together a little, maybe 20-minute class or session, so that you could present it to the stores, including the one you work at, to say to the store, here's another way you can provide a service to your customers. Like Home Depot ended up creating a whole like education piece because a lot of their employees are handymen and carpenters and all of this
Right.
stuff, but they aren't allowed to promote themselves either. But as an extra draw into the store, Home Depot created these classes that they can, customers can come sign up for free.
Ah, gotcha. Yes.
And I was
Yeah.
thinking you could create a little half-hour class that's more educational than anything, because it's not something to teach them to do.
Mhm.
It's another aspect of what, but if you create it from the perspective of the store drawing in customers,
Mhm.
that just happens to also serve your business, I feel like you could, there's a place to meet in that triangle.
Thank you.
Well, Shannon and I also talked about, I can see her doing little videos, like
Oh.
do a YouTube channel
Yeah.
where she's helping people to even know that this is available. I wouldn't have thought about muscle testing for diet. I would, things like that. It's not something you're thinking about, but you start putting out there, and pet owners who do really get into their animals be like, wait a minute, I didn't know about that. You mean you could tell me what the best food is for my dog? Because they just, don't have this in it and don't have that, and buy this brand and all that. So you could actually help people to understand. So putting together, have Sherpa Shannon YouTube station, have just short videos that give them a tip, or do you know? Like you could have a whole thing. Do you know that you can? Do you know that? Let people know that you can translate their dogs, what the dog means to them, and they have no clue that that's possible.
And Instagram, I haven't done it, but I know they do video now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that you can post a little video there, and watch it fully, watch like 2 minutes of it or something, and then it makes the person switch over, I think, taking you to
Okay. I don't know anything about that yet.
this
Thank.
business coach that I'm with. He posts a lot, and so that was the first time
So there's a lot of options out there, but I really think that if you give tips and do things that make people aware of
Yes.
this, then you're gonna have people, contacting you all over the place. It's an awareness. Because this isn't
Yeah.
something that everybody thinks about with a pet.
Right.
So very cool.
Thank
And
you.
then talk to your one client that you're talking to, and you'll get more, but you'll be talking to them in a way they understand. So,
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
cool.
in
Thank you.
sales.
Thank you, Sherry.
There's an app. It's called Vidyard. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's really short. It's really cheap too. I think it's like a 30-day trial, but you can make really short videos on it too. Like, this is who I am. This is what I do, and then you can blast it out to like everybody. And I've gotten really good feedback on some of that. Like, it's a 30-second clip of that stuff. It comes out.
And
Really
what was that called?
VID YARD Vidyard.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All
Awesome.
right.
Great ideas, all of you. Thank you.
And I like your picture in the background.
Oh, this one? That was painted for me. Spirits, some of my spirit guides. It was a spiritual guide painting. Thank you.
Okay. So now you have next steps.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all.
So who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I feel like for once, Tammy, mine is short and sweet.
Your
Usually
what?
I have a million questions.
Okay.
But I feel like for the first time, I'm like enjoying the journey of looking and putting it together. Where normally I'm like, I want it. Where is it? I want to be here right now. Like, that's just my impatience. But for the first time, I feel like I'm just liking like seeing the pieces come together, and then like going on like the Realtor app, and like even this morning, I'm like, ooh, there's my staircase. I'm like, I'm starting to see like all these pieces that I'm talking about. Like, they're in different houses, but they're all like, I see them. So it's been very I'm just excited about it.
That's cool. Yeah, you've gotten into very more detail, very specific.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep doing that and just keep imagining it and feeling into it. I like what we talked about it, that dream, the little girls coming over with their puppy and
Mhm.
and seeing
That's
like
it.
actually
Like, I
living
can see
there.
her. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like you're already living there energetically.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it's not a distant thing. It's just really continuing to tune into it. And so it can put all those parts that you see together into the house that you find.
When I did like my future self, it just said like, I heard myself just saying, have patience. It's all here. It's all coming. You just have to get there. And that repeated like 3 times. So I'm like,
That's good. Yeah. And then the feeling of just, you're loving your home. That you love it, it loves you. And even though it's an inanimate thing, I do. I believe that my house loves and appreciates me as much as I love and appreciate it. And then it functions better. It doesn't, have all the issues that so many people go, oh, my house is falling apart. Well, how are you taking care of it? Or your car, right? I mean, really, it's all energy. So that energy feels that. And that's, I was looking at the other stuff that you wrote. I highlighted the last sentence. Every part of, you love every part of it. It's your sanctuary. And the feeling of having people come over, sharing it with them. Very cool.
yeah, it's just not about like just the material aspects. It's the whole people and just like fighting. And it's like,
Barbecues,
Mhm.
entertaining, having people come over, enjoy it with you.
Yeah.
When you want them to come over. And then it can be your private space when you want it to be.
Yeah.
So very cool. And Lulu gets the backyard.
it's so funny because she was so hyper, and then as soon as Shannon started talking, she mellowed out and like she's out now. So Shannon's home for her. So thank you.
All the energy. She's like, okay,
Yes,
I'm good.
yes, she will have her own room and backyard for sure.
I can go. So you're just watching what we talked about it. The sign is just going to show up.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I fully believe that for sure.
With the balloon.
And Mary.
Mary. Preferably the balloon is not really on Mary, but
But you know, yeah.
if it is.
If it is, then I'll even more confirmation, right?
She, is it okay if I tell them? About
yeah.
Mary, so
Yeah.
we've been working together for 3 years. And so Mary,
Yeah.
Mother Mary is assigned for her. And so I feel like the house, it's not gonna be one she necessarily finds on a real estate site. She'll be driving and then she'll see a sign and it'll hit her. And I said, then I felt that being Mary in the yard, and then I actually saw like a balloon tied around Mary, to like catch her attention. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, to make sure she realizes this is the one.
Yeah,
This is
Mary
it.
holding a balloon. How often does that happen? Come on.
That's awesome.
And pretty much what I've told her, when things happen, they happen that way. So
Yeah, they really do. So there'll be a picture, trust me.
Well, I know when I was reading your description, yeah, I really was transported, and the conversation about the neighbors, I'm like, it felt so real. In fact, just as you're talking about it, I'm like, oh right, you made those people up.
well, no, they're really at the house.
Right. Well, right. You imagined them into being. But when I was there, it felt I was in real time,
Mhm.
in the real place. So the power behind your manifestation, I could feel it. And like I put in my comment, my eyes adjusted to the sunlight coming in that bank of windows.
Mhm.
When I stopped reading, I really had to blink my eyes
Aw.
as I came back to my bedroom. Even though there was also light coming in, it wasn't as bright as the light in the house
Mhm.
where you had taken me. So yeah, it was really powerful.
Well, it does feel like you're present
Yeah.
in it. You're connected to it. It's not
Right.
out somewhere. It's just you're feeling all into it. And so it's like the miracle on 34th Street where
Right.
they drive by the house and the little girl's like, stop, it's the house in the picture. And instead of a cane from Santa Claus, Saint Nick, you're gonna have Mary with a balloon. So when you message and go, I found the house, and Mary had a balloon. Maybe
I
they're
don't know what color the balloon is too.
What color is it?
I don't know.
What color do you think it is?
I see blue.
So do I.
Oh wow.
Blue, like a soft blue.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So just keep doing what you're doing. Go for Sunday drives,
We've been.
and then it'll just pop out. Cool. Anything else? Please?
No, I'm just excited about it. Love it.
Yep, it's exciting. So then you'll call your parents first, and then we'll hear later.
Yeah, you'll be the second.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
Of course.
Don't hold off too long. No, I know you. You get all excited. You'll be like, oh.
I'll be like, Terry, oh my gosh, here's the picture. It was a blue balloon.
Cool. All right. Well, Sherry, you're next.
Obviously. Okay. Yeah, so I've been writing a lot, finally. And when I posted, I guess last night, I just really, a lot of things came together for me you gave me homework to imagine I was sitting across from the person, having an intro conversation. And even though I didn't remember that specific like some of the details you gave me to imagine, some of it came out anyway. And I think part of it is I had gotten a couple new clients showed up last week. One of them was referred by my teacher, which is surprising because the week before I was bitching about with my colleagues how her promotions weren't getting us any clients. And it was a woman who wanted support for two of her kids, and one being extremely sensitive. And somehow, because I wanted to give you what you needed to help me back, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make myself yesterday really feel into it. And as soon as I did, I like imagined this Zoom screen like I have right now, and him sitting down and starting to talk to me. And I had been given information over the past few months that, whoever this man is going to be for my romantic partner, he'll probably have a child attached to him somehow, whether it's his but it's somebody that he's taken on as a parental figure. And then just after he sat down, I saw this, little girl come in and interrupt, and got the understanding that he was recommended to me because she's sensitive and he understands, my work in a general sense, but he's motivated to support her. And from there, just everything just became really real. And because of the dream that I posted about, also I felt like we had already met face to face. So there was just a comfort level there that had me. I didn't have to imagine what the next piece of the conversation was about. It's like what I've heard about writers when they go to write a story. They're like, once I know who the person is, how they behave just kind of comes out. And that's kind of how it was. So I didn't necessarily think about my ideal client will always be dealing with sensitivity issues. But that may be, and what, where my connection is. But within the last week, all these synchronicities have been going on to help me either, meet or learn about organizations that are working about consciousness at a global level. Or like today, I went down a rabbit hole where I finally found, I've been wanting like the science behind energy, how energy works, and I finally found a couple of articles or conversations that, again, were exactly what I was looking for, to draw the line from the Western modern scientific community to how energy, if you will, slows down to create, our physical and emotional bodies. So it just feels like each day I'm being fed another piece of how to manifest this, and feeling that comfort level. And I'm now not, after sort of imagining that conversation last night, I'm not necessarily scared or anxious about it happening. It just, again, it felt so normal. And I felt like I could show up with all of those pieces of me that I know myself to be, and gifts that I, can give out, but like I'm not going to have to defend why this person should do this, why they should take on this package. I realized I didn't have to have everything spelled out exactly, because this is, personalized medicine, if you will. It's going to take a conversation before I can, craft all the components. Like, I know what all the components are, but to craft the right package for this person,
Mhm.
the conversation has to be there first. So that just let me relax about having to have it all spelled out and all figured out. Um, and it's helping me also know how maybe I want to revamp my website, again, to talk about these bigger concepts that are I'm so passionate about, but haven't been able to be passionate about it for a really long time. And I just feel like the words are starting to be there, and how I could show up, or even how I could post things to post about, topics to post about, so that I'm not, again, efforting. It's up till now, it's felt like such a big effort to decide, what I want to say or what I want to offer, or and even this client that I did talk to on Friday, after she talked about the piece, it wasn't even my energy clearing work that she was referred to me for. It was this other piece that I haven't, gone through the certification. But after we talked about it and her daughters, she's like, and once we do this, I do want to talk about the energy clearing, maybe, space clearing my house, and clearing the ancestral lineages. And I'm smiling because in my one-on-one with Tammy, we did a lineage clearing exercise that I've done before, but a lot more came up to clear and rebalance. And so again, that was just another synchronicity of this client, again, showing up, ready to work with me, excited to work with me. And again, on a piece that I'm not even really promoting yet. So it was huge confirmation about, again, shifting inside shifts the outside, and you attract it, and like the magnets flip and zoom. You just have to be ready, to mix my analogies, be ready to catch the baseball right in the mitt.
Well, that's part of it, is we create all these things, and then when they show up, we almost have this strange reaction, and that's why so many people push things away when they show up, because in concept, I want this, and vision boards, you make up, and it feels like it's out here, and we kind of keep it out there, that we're getting to it, and it's kind of a comfort place. And that's often why we'll do things very general in big ways, because it kind of, we feel good, we're doing our thing, but it's not coming down to actually do the real thing with. And when that happens, it often takes our system a minute to go, oh wait, that is what it's here. And be able to, but the more work that you do internally preparing, so you see all this energetic preparation, when it shows up, the line isn't as defined as when something shocks someone, because it is almost like you see it and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that makes sense.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, whoa, that's too much. And then our system literally does go and push it back.
Well, and I don't know if it's been a year now, but I had been wanting to move out of this apartment. My friend and I, because of our upstairs neighbors, and I knew that there were only a couple other 2 bedrooms. I have a 3-bedroom, but 2 bedrooms in this building. And I was doing some work around I wanted the apartment across the hall from us because its back windows looked over our park, but were high up enough to see over the low building across, out the back. So I'm like, I want that apartment. And I'd been working on that for a while. And one day while I was away, my roommate texted me and said, um, something medical had gone on, and there was the ambulance was up there, and my thought was, holy shit, I just killed somebody to get an apartment.
You can't do that anyway.
I know, it doesn't matter. My whole system went into shock, and I was like, no, I don't want anybody to get hurt in order for me to have the apartment.
Yeah.
They were fine and they never moved out, so I didn't get the apartment.
But you panicked.
I panicked, and I pushed.
Yeah, you pushed it like, oh dear, what did I do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we can't create. If we want money and inheritance comes because a relative dies, you didn't, I mean, people will go. Did I make them die? No. It's just one of the avenues it could come through. You didn't kill anybody for it. We don't work that way.
No, and yet I'm powerful enough to know that my desire, I didn't necessarily want to see all the consequences.
But it would only happen if it lined up for everything. I mean, if you do everything from a loving place, that's the thing.
Yes.
If you do it from love, everything has to line up. And it could be that another apartment opens up that you might not be thinking about that'd be even better than that one.
Right. What it did instead was just make me, double down into raising my vibration and clearing up my other internal crap. And I am so much happier right now than I've been in a really long time. It would have helped me avoid, the short-term ick, for not having that long-term happiness. So, I'm in a good place. And what was I was wanting to, today, because it's officially a holiday, so I didn't check in with this little freelance gig I'm doing because their company's closed today. And which allowed me to go down more rabbit holes than I had originally intended to. And, and laze around and just enjoy myself. And I thought, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do when this man shows up. Am I ready for him to be here in this room that I'm in? And then I started thinking about the last time I was in a serious long-term relationship, and was reminding myself, see, I know how to do this. This is how it looks. And I was like, oh, wait, no, that's how it looked with the old me. I don't want to freak out and look backwards. I want to get excited and look forwards. And it was this really beautiful moment of remembering that I have the power to create this. And one, I don't need to freak out because what I'm creating is something that's going to be, right and perfect, and isn't anything that would startle my system. So there's no reason to freak out. And then I started to imagine it with this man that sat across the Zoom from me, as opposed to remembering what it felt like with some other person. So it was just a really great moment of how to have the awareness and then redirect, my focus, and remember what it is I'm creating and what I'm attracting. And I really felt, I guess, powerful and in control of the process, because I am in control of the process. Yeah.
So would you like me to share what I tuned into? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I printed like 4 pages of yours, so.
Yeah, I was very wordy.
Well, you were excited and all of it about how you're feeling and connecting with that. I don't remember the name of it. It must be on this sheet. The Institute of
Noetic.
Noetic Sciences. Okay. But I wasn't sure if you were saying that you found peace with, you don't have to have one-on-one clients, or you don't want one-on-one clients, or there was a piece in there where you were talking about working with like the United Nations or something, and then,
Oh, that's just like a big, one of those big dream sorts of moments. Um, I still want the 2 or 3 clients for the year, but um, I realized when I did this 10 years in the future exercise
oh, okay.
with my business coach guy, uh, what I got was, the UN is one of those institutions of global connection, or supposed to be. And wouldn't it be, I would find it amazing to be asked to come clear it, their central meeting place, as a part of how I've been working with these 2 or 3 clients, So it was that big dream sort of, yeah, shoot the moon.
Yeah, all right, because that's what I got, but I wanted you to keep, because I mentioned it, I'm like, well, what can you do now then? Like pull it into an actionable, there's a safety in the bigness. And we want to have the big ultimate vision, but we have to have the pieces. So I just wanted you to like actually have something that would happen for you now, as opposed to feeling like it's,
Well, and for me, it's having been reintroduced or reminded of that institute, where I actually did as a field trip, uh, was there and clearing some of their buildings and land a few years ago. That I've been learning more about them, the types of research they do, and there's ways to volunteer. So my current step really is just to connect up with them in some way.
Mhm.
And so that's why I've been learning more about them, and how I might, actually make that connection. Uh, Again, not to build the dream of clearing the UN, but to create the more.
but you can have that dream.
But I can have
Yeah.
that dream.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
it is about getting this client.
Okay. Now you wrote it twice and you've already talked about it, but the first time you wrote that your ideal client is your romantic partner. I do feel like the person that you're with will come from your business, like whatever you're doing for your business. And it could be this client, but I feel like you want to keep it, it won't be right away, and you want to keep it so that you are the authority in what you do before it would go into something like that. So the line doesn't become blurred between you as the business and that. I mean, like he would be your client and then it would evolve after you did what you do with him.
Yes.
Because you have to stand in that position of authority of knowing what you're doing and not feel like the female in a relationship that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so married to the integrity of my professional persona that even if I wanted to collapse into being a giddy female, it wouldn't happen.
Okay.
And because this is about dealing with sensitivities, um, yeah, I would definitely have a separation there and navigate that in very responsible ways.
Okay. So right now, I'd invite you just to stick with just the client part and kind of bump the romantic part over.
Okay.
So that that's the focus. If that's what happens, great and wonderful. If it happens with someone else, or he could be who leads, who introduces you to the person. And in your description, just for fine tuning, actually pick a height and an age. Go ahead and commit to a whatever and this or something better.
And I did with the thing I posted last night.
Yeah, it was like between the ages of 48 and 55. So just pick an age. Like pick a more defined commit. You're not committed to it, like could not be anything else. It's just saying that you are really identifying this person as real, as opposed to you're not between, you wouldn't reference yourself as between the ages of this. You'd say, I'm this age. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I guess I thought that was getting way too specific and not leaving it up for the how.
Well, you are, because you're not identifying a person. You're not saying it has to be this guy over here. That's the how. But to say he's, lightly, he's 50, he's, 6 foot, he's, got a daughter. I mean, now how this daughter's his daughter, that's, it could just be somebody who feels like a daughter, but you're just identifying as that, so that it's just more defined that way. That's okay, because you're not identifying this man that I have this desire for, and you know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's just fine tuning. There's some fine tuning, like putting a face on someone that you want to be a little more flexible with,
Okay.
but to choose, so it feels, instead of like a dating kind of, like I'm looking for someone between, it's more like you're identifying him as a real person, because we are focusing on him as a client.
Right.
And so it's okay if your client is a 50-year-old male, you can say all that.
Okay.
And if he turns up and he's 48, and pretty close, that's okay.
Okay.
But there's a little part of us that's always afraid to like really dial in, because we feel like we're leaving something out then.
Yes. And yet I didn't have that feeling this time. It was more not wanting to get too specific and narrow the, or take away the
Well, you're not taking away the how, because if he shows up and he fits everything and he's like 40, give or take a year or two, let's just say that,
Okay.
but you can identify him. He's,
Okay.
if you're attracted to men or your client, we're not talking to that way. Move off of the romantic. You're working. I like to work with women of a certain age, so I'll throw that age out there. But if I'm picking someone, then she's one specific age. And
Got it. Okay.
like if you're working with me, I'm 52. I'm this. I'm not kind of sort of. So yeah, that's okay. You're not giving him a face like going. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know actors who are like, I like Gerard Butler. So it's not like you're saying Gerard Butler is showing up as your client. That's too specific.
Okay.
But if you look at him and go, well, he's 52 and he's 6'1", and he describe him a lot like him, that would be all right.
Okay. Well, I did pretty good then.
You did very good. Yes.
As
I
far.
just thought I'd say, turn that dial for a little clearer picture.
Okay.
And then you're tuning into him. But let there be that line for now. Just bring him in just as a client. And
Okay.
if it turns into something else, I mean, I do feel that it'll come out of your business. And also moving, when you have all these clients, you'll want to live in a completely different place.
Yeah. And again, that was a long time ago. And I definitely am not necessarily worried.
It feels more like an actual house, because you'll probably have clients come for things.
Yeah.
And you want the space that represents the level of
Yeah.
work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it feels more individual than a building with other people in it.
Yeah. I
Or like a house that's yours, that the energy is really based in there, as opposed to having anything
yeah.
around it.
I need to not be in in the multifamily building anymore. Yeah. I'm clear about that. But what I've gotten comfortable with about this whole process is that I want to work through this with someone else
Mhm.
to show me the next steps or to create them together. And the move and where I live is part of that.
Mhm.
So that really let me let go of having so many things I'm focusing on.
Mhm.
Um, and even when I was writing out, this initial conversation, um, the commentary about having banter, I guess I did put flirting in there, but
Mhm.
I know that the conversation that I want, the people that I want to work with, the ideal client, we will have this witty banter because
Mhm.
I like that.
Well, to feel like you know each other, like you're really comfortable. Like they're really good with you coming into their space and
Right.
and doing that. Because with energy work, they may not be doing that themselves, but me as someone who does energy work, I don't just let people
Exactly.
do anything. The ones that I've allowed to do stuff are like, whoa, okay, I'm not doing that again. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm pretty picky. Sometimes I'll play around when people want to test things out. And I've had some weird experiences with doing that. So no, nobody play. Not saying that there's not elevation, but I work with different work now. But
Which is why, like, when I got on the phone with this currently uh, in this time real person on Friday, uh, even though she was a woman, it it was like we'd known each other for months or maybe even years.
Mhm.
It's just like, hi, and I easily said her name, and so great to work with you, and had this authenticity in my voice, and she said the same back, and we were sharing things as we went about figuring out what the best scenario was for my work for her. And it was that I was thinking about when I was writing this ideal client conversation of 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 that.
So
So
the people will be comfortable with your energy and feel like they can just, like, there's nothing that they have to hold back on. Like, I think that my energy allows people to tell me stuff that they wouldn't normally tell other people.
yeah,
Especially really strange things, right? That somebody else be like, what? I, as I always tell people, you don't have to start the sentence with, you're going to think this is strange. Well, no, I can trump that, trust me. So just go ahead and tell me. So I don't think it's strange. To me, that's more normal. But, people are so used to that. So people like when they can be in a space that is safe and non-judgmental. You just feel it, and they can open up in ways that we go out in the world and we try to be what we think the world wants to see.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then when you can just be like, you can actually feel it in there. And like when that drops of, oh,
yeah,
I can be this in here and I don't have to do all these other things.
yeah. Well, and in fact, in when I was beginning to imagine this conversation, normally I wouldn't, want the child involved in the conversation. I would want the parent to, handle that end. Um, but what I realized was, this little person was sensitive enough that she needed to feel comfortable with me, and that's why she was, it worked out that she busted in on the conversation that she wasn't supposed to bust in on, but that's because it was really important for her. And then that allowed my client to see how careful I would be, with her energy. Um, So it then put him at ease in a way that I wouldn't have, it wouldn't have happened just by us having a conversation. So that whole thing, like I said, a story unfolding, it's like I was watching it happen, and then understanding why it happened the way it did, and all of the beautiful reasons why it happened in that way. So yeah, it was really neat. But I don't think I've been resisting writing it because it just hasn't felt authentic. It just felt like I was trying to make things up, and square peg round hole and all of that, and it just really flowed last night.
Well, that's where you want to get to. Yeah. I'll keep reminding you just because I don't want to, I want you to know I'm there too.
Yeah, no, I
Just
appreciate
go
it.
off on your own. No, that's not the point. So that was why I did.
Yeah, because I get in an altered state sometimes, and the days start to pass, and
Oh,
so
well, that's the other dimensional energy I'll talk about tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Well, that's awesome.
okay.
So everybody, is there anything else? Any questions or anything?
Okay.
No, you feel aligned with that? Okay. All right. So Randy's not here, but all of what she was sharing and just feeling much better about herself, liking how she looks, and then she feels good about herself, and then having better days. She would have never have done that a week ago. Oh, going out with no makeup and no mask, and accepting compliments, and not having a non-issue relationship with food. That's a big one. She focused on that, having things be as an outside source, as we've talked about that, letting things more guide, like money or food or things around us, as opposed to having us guide ourselves. And that's a big thing. We were taught to do that. That's old conditioning. That's that, make everybody else happy, to be accepted, to be, okay, make everybody else comfortable too. Don't do anything that upsets anybody.
Don't rock the boat.
Especially when you're sensitive and you're feeling this stuff,
Yes.
you experience things different. And I think a lot more people do that, but they shut it down or because they don't understand. So it's easier to kind of like put a wall up and shut that off. So they don't want your stuff because they, again, don't deal with their own. So they don't want to deal with anything that's uncomfortable. I mean, we're taught that as children in school. Don't upset other people. Don't do this. We're taught to just be this conforming person that we're not unique.
Yeah.
Where we function from this place that makes everybody okay. We don't have to deal with anything. And if you do too much, drug you. Put you on some pills so you mellow out and don't cause any issues.
Yep.
But to adults too. So that's really I've known Randy for a little while, and so her sharing that of feeling more like it's coming from here than out there, it's really great. I'm seeing what else. I highlighted a bunch of stuff. And then just focusing on like the money or anything. If we talk from a place of need, that's one of those push away things, because we're noticing the separation. Thus, it stays separate. So it's just feeling into it. It's already happening. Who's that? The movie The Secret. What's his name? Waitley. I don't remember his first name now. Glenn Waitley, maybe. He trained astronauts for NASA, and they found that athletes, when hooked to a machine, a monitor, fight all the same muscles fired, them imagining actually running, but not physically doing it. So our brain doesn't know the difference really between, if you really get into the vision and the experience of it, it does not know that you are not actually doing the thing. I mean, there's a physical aspect when you stop and you notice that maybe the thing's not really, but if you just keep doing that, that energetically will pull it in. Because there isn't, that gap disappears. But these are all things that like remembering, because even when I just get caught up in the world stuff, it takes me a minute to go, wait a minute, that's not how it works. This is from an old program. The programming takes a little while to flesh out, even though you do this all the time. So I think she's stepping into her power, she said, so that's awesome. I don't think there's anything, she didn't have any questions. I asked her if she had any questions and she didn't say she had any, so. Any other thoughts or anything? No? So it's just continuing to feel into your new reality. And what's awesome is that we are shifting for that thing and then shift everything else with it. Because you can't become a match for that and not have everything else have to shift too.
Yes.
Which sometimes is a little bumpy because there are things that come and go that maybe you weren't expecting because you're focused over here. But then everything else has to come in that matches up to it. So there's a surrendering of letting the things happen that need to happen for what we've invited in, because we don't, like you said, with the seeing the emergency vehicle over there and then going, oh no, we don't control how it shows up. So there's a release of, well, if I'm going to ask for this and I'm going to step or invite it in, I don't always like to say ask, I say it, but invite it in, then there are going to be things that I have to shift that maybe I'm not prepared for. It might be a little surprising, but what do I want more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me too about even when I clear somebody and I talk about the shifts and the possible things that they'll notice when the energy starts flowing again the way it's supposed to flow. And I'll say something like it's not always, rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes there's discomfort in getting things moving again. And so what we want to celebrate is the change. And yet when you see ambulances across the hall, you can forget that.
Well, you go to the human part that went, oh, what happened there? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to remember discomfort is not always bad.
Right.
You have to be ready to be uncomfortable if you really want something to change.
Yeah.
And we don't know what needs to change to have the outcome we want, because some of the things that start disappearing are the things that were heavy and why we were still sitting where we were.
Yeah.
And then we, and there's a little bit, let ourselves mourn that, like a death of that level.
Yeah.
Because there are things like when people float out of our life, there's a sadness of, things are going to be different. But it's like that if someone dies, at least in my mind, the first thing I thought of when anybody died was, I haven't had anybody close to me die for many years, but just the fact that they weren't going to be, I won't see them the same way, or I won't be able to do this or that, and have to get used to realizing that was done. So it's the same thing now. It's a death of a level of us, or the ending, we could say, instead of a death, an ending of that. But
It's an ending and a beginning.
But what's interesting is from the time we've been on this planet, we do that naturally in growing up. We were a baby. the baby part of us is somewhere still. There's still some aspect of that in here, but we're not the baby anymore. And then you get the toddler who tries to be the baby, maybe a little longer, sucking their thumb and going, talking like a baby, and then they keep growing. That automatically happens. There's nobody who goes, well, I do not want to be 5 now. I mean, they might say, and I'm just going to stop. I'm stopping at 3. Don't ever want to get to 5. That's it. It just keeps going.
Yep.
And that's everything out in the world is a representation of what we experience from a higher level. There's a physical version and it's like the chakras are part of your nervous system. The 5 senses, 5 physical senses, are also 5 energetic senses. The clairaudience, we have the physical version and the energetic spiritual version.
Yeah.
And so everything that we see happen in the physical also happens the same way energetically, but we don't pay it, that's normal.
Mhm.
Going from a baby to this, but making shifts and another way, that seems weird.
Yeah.
Just an more unseen version of the same experience.
Yeah.
It's all in the perspective and understanding. I think if more people understood this kind of stuff from a young age, they wouldn't be so surprised by it. If
Yeah,
this kind of stuff was more taught to children, that this is just normal, and this part, it's interesting how the world really does shut that down. There's a safety in it.
Yes. But I do see things shifting because like the people in my own community and, talking about these topics and stuff, the ones that have the kids, we talk about, and I always iterate. I said how beautiful it is that knowing what you know now and remembering what you know now, right?
Mhm.
They're able to work with their kids, at these young ages so that they're not having to, they're able to, respect that now, understand it now, teach them, they're also living a more spiritual life. Now the kids are living more spiritual life. They're also engaging them more with it too. So it's beautiful to see that. Those are, always good confirmations too, that, the shifts are happening, the energetics are changing.
Well, part of that is that the energy of the children, I'd say everything after my generation, because all my friends who have kids, we talk about how different our children are than we were. And we could say the same thing for our parents, but I still think
Yes.
that we were a little more aligned, like the same kind of act, the same
Yeah.
condition. They've come in and like, that conditioning seems totally gone. What?
Yeah.
They don't.
Seriously, no, it is.
They don't do anything like we did. What? And
No, the generations have definitely, I forget what year it initially started, but yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
the millennials, which started in the 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so the energy of the children coming in are different than
Mhm.
I think our generation, I think it's X or Generation X. I don't know who names this stuff, but it's really we ended with the major heaviness, the old, bringing the
Yes.
old
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
I believe at the early 1900s, when the transcendentalists and a lot more stuff started coming out, were the ones,
Mhm.
that's when there was a big shift internally that prepared us for where we are now. The
Yeah.
generations before that could not have
No.
energetically, I mean, they were all dead before that, but they would not have been able to handle
Mhm.
what we're moving through because of the heaviness that they were literally
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Letting go
Roman,
of all that darkness and all the negative. Yep.
But the Romans, you can feel
how
how
heavy that stuff is, and things
Yeah.
back like that, they were heavy. And we've
Yes.
lightened up as time has gone on. And
Mhm.
so by lightening up, we have become more enlightened because more can come
Yes.
in. We can see more things.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why. But the
Mhm.
children that are coming in are, because there are a lot of the people that left the heavy.
Yep.
Come back into the lighter. And I believe same thing now, as a lot of people are leaving
Mhm.
because it's more challenging to go through this than it is
Yes.
to come back.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're riding a very bumpy but cool space to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, when you really stop and sit and think about it, it's, it's really amazing,
Mhm.
to be able to be here, that we've shifted from, the dark age into the light age,
Mhm.
to be here for that transition. And in truth, right, even when we're going through the human stuff that we have to go through, but when we keep ourselves in that spiritual, I always say looking at that bird's eye view and everything and reminding, keeping in check who we really are and what we're doing here. It's really such a beautiful thing, to be able to be here to help with that shift. That's what we're here doing.
But
We're here.
it's fun too to be able to be conscious enough. I think the most empowered place to be is in this, to be able to sit and to go into the low and to go into the high and know that you're here, that you're not
Yeah.
polarized to the one or the,
Yes.
and people, when they get on their spiritual journey or awaken to it, right? They don't realize they've always been on it, but now that they're aware of it, they go into all this energy stuff and spiritual stuff, and they float around up here and almost want to get rid of the human. Oh, well, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
wouldn't be here. That's called death. So
Yes.
you're
You got to come back
We're
down. You
still
got to
gonna-
kind of start getting in the
when
middle
you get-
ground here.
when you balance the two out and can
Yep.
enjoy both sides and then recognize the parallel
Yes.
to the physical experiences that reflect this, the energetic and vice
Mhm.
versa and all that kind of stuff, and people start playing in that more consciously, there's a fullness that you have that is not there when you're just think you're human. But I do believe there is a large amount of people on the planet that are energy space holders. They are really not going to expand out into leaders or things that they hold the main frequency and stay with that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a
You're
lot of
you're
roles.
looking, Sherry, so I was just wondering.
It does and it doesn't. I don't know what part doesn't make sense about that kind of person. Is it that they're not trying to actively keep the old vibration around, but they're also not trying to push the new vibration. But they are open to the new.
See how I see them as it's like all the people that you see in the pictures of the starving people and those groups of people that they just kind of hold the most prevalent energy. They're not determining it. They just sit in whatever energy is most collective focus.
They just go about their lives and do their
Yeah,
thing.
they're never really going to be the people that like stand out or do what we're doing. That isn't what that soul frequency. Because it's kind of like the guides and the angels of all. There are frequencies of of souls, and so some souls literally fill the space to hold the collective version of that energy until enough of us shift it, and then they'll shift with it, or they'll leave the planet because they're not needed. But they don't really actively. It's like I'm sure you've met people and you can say all the things you want to say to them, and it's like it just keeps going like this. Like they're not grasping. They're not meant to.
Well, and there's been a lot of points in my life I wanted to be them. I'm like, can't I just go about my day? Yeah, the answer, yes, was always no.
There are times I sit and go, because I know this stuff, sometimes it seems even more complicated. I have to jump off. Okay, well, thank you, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
So, it's sometimes it's like, because you're conscious, now it becomes more complicated.
Yes. And I would get mad at that and all of that. So yeah. Okay, thank you. That helped.
Yeah, I mean, I've inquired into, well, why don't, why we just don't shift all these people who live in poverty or on government aid or,
Yeah.
these groups of people. Because there's always those one or two that find their way out and become these big
Yes.
old things
Yes.
and are successful, and everybody just complain. What I've received is they are an energy to hold a space
Yeah.
Mhm.
until a shift is made, and then they'll
Yes.
either leave because they aren't going to come up into that space, or they'll rise up and function from within whatever's going on there too. But they hold the major energy. So that's why it can sometimes seem like we're stuck somewhere, because
There's
that's their
more.
job. They're holding us there.
That makes sense.
So you can't save everybody. You can't shift everybody, because that
Right,
isn't why they're even
right.
here.
There's, like you said, yeah, there's all sorts of levels and so many things that, yeah, and it all plays a role, right? It's like,
They all have a
it
purpose.
goes back to
within-
us each having that role, and even as an individual, we have the roles, but even like you said, as communities and collectives, and it does, I mean, yeah, because you can go back in time and see how countries and, have evolved and have gone down, but have come up, and like you said, it goes through the shifting, and it just, oof,
Well, they
goes in
even
with
say
this-
like Hitler. The reason
Yeah.
Hitler came to power was because, the Germans wanted a certain certain thing to happen, and he's who came forward and took them there. But that enough of the collective energy held that space, and so everybody's, well, Hitler was a representation of what collective energy existed.
Yes.
He
Was
was
there.
not, he didn't go to hell or anything because of what he did. He was creating into the physical what everybody was
what
asking
was already
for,
there,
and then
yes.
going, well, no, we didn't really
Right.
want it that way. That's the interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how it showed up. But it changed other things.
Yeah.
Everything, leads to, just like when storms come through and they wipe out whole areas. That area to me needed a cleansing.
yes, yeah,
Apparently New Orleans needed multiple of them, because how many times did it get wiped out immediately by hurricanes when they hadn't happened or even the storms we're having, the
Mhm.
intensity, and like last
well, the
week
rain, right? The
they
rain
came
is
out
all
of
cleansing.
nowhere. Huh?
Mhm. Like even all our rain, all the water that we're getting, that's all cleansing.
Yeah.
All
But
the
then there was
rain
a
and-
storm that literally, I'll try to move or soften them so there's less snow and stuff. And well, just because I don't like to drive on that stuff. So I'm like, if it stayed off the road, we can have much as we want. But but it came literally. I was like looking at it was last Sunday. And it was all of a sudden there was a storm, and I was driving, and I went to a Super
Oh,
Bowl thing
yes.
over an
Yeah.
hour normally away. So it took me longer. That was the longest drive to and home on roads that had no lines, because it was all snow and people were drive crazy fast, and they're like this far from my car because they didn't know where the line. I was very stressed by the time I was like, going, okay, angels, just drive. Oh wow.
Nope, that's all you can do.
But that's all collective. The earth is not pissed at us. The earth is like, okay, y'all are clearing stuff up. Well, let's see what we need to clear. It does its own clearing. But it's a living thing. So we are not doing anything, we're rough to it. And I see that when we really move into the higher energies and the heaviness is released, even the roads and things to me disappear because they're heavy. All that cement all over when you look out, that's heavy.
Yeah.
It's covering everything up. So that's gonna end up, however it's gonna, there's a process, but I don't know how that'll be. I don't know how, but I can see that'll end up.
Eventually, though, that'll be shifting too.
That'll end
Like
up
you said,
going away.
it's,
We may
Mhm.
get, they might actually start using some of the other stuff. Like there are roads that can heat up,
Yeah.
so they don't have to put salt down, but they don't want to do that because, well, then, those roads will last forever, but we don't want them to last forever because, there's workmen that need to patch holes and tear up pavement and re-put it down. even though Canada's roads are colder and very nice without all the potholes we have.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, I've been in other areas too.
it's like,
It's kind of that, yeah, we're in that blue collar area, Metro Detroit too, and a lot of trades, and like you said, it's
I don't know what New York's like. Do you drive?
Everywhere I've been in the U.S. is the same.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't last. Um, things need to be fixed.
Oh, yes.
I've been down south. I've been up north. I've been in the middle of the country on this
Oh.
side of the country. Yeah,
But they all have their different energy,
definitely all the different energy.
you know.
Roads and getting the roads fixed
Oh,
is the same everywhere. But
but
yeah,
it is interesting. Canada.
well,
not
but
bad
again,
roads.
that's because the U.S. there is a certain energy here,
yes.
and but even like from this Chinese medicine perspective, which I was reminded, my teacher calls it, we really work the spirit side of it, which is all this energetic and
Mhm.
archetypal patterns and and one of the things I found interesting about it early on is that you can point to a city and talk about what its elemental pattern is.
Mhm.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
again, the same is true for a county, a state, a country.
Everything has
Yeah.
its collective, whatever's there, the
Mhm.
energy. And yeah.
Exactly. And
Oh my gosh, yeah. And actually the United States, we're considered masculine energy.
oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then like Russia with everything that's going on, the reason why it's opposite is because they've got the female energy behind them.
There's a lot.
Mhm.
And then yeah, and again there's continuums of, again, the elements are more like personality types.
Yeah.
That express in different ways. That's not masculine or feminine. But it's more the expression of how that works. Maybe one is focused on the preciousness of life, and so beautiful architecture is one of the expressions, and another is a lot more focused on like family connection, family and friend connection, and so there's an earthiness to the buildings, the way they move, the way they eat, that.
See, everything's energy. So, and the Middle East is turmoil.
Yeah.
Like always turmoil.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But
that will all shift.
yeah,
But it takes individuals
Yeah.
to help shift the whole so that those energetic space holders will
Be able to
adjust.
shift. Yep.
yeah, and work the light side of it as opposed to the shadow.
Yeah. It's all
Okay.
interesting when you think about it.
And I do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just asked those questions, like, why is that? Then I get an answer. Oh, okay, makes sense to me. Just like dimensional energy and so, all these things that just come and it's like, oh my goodness, all right, I wasn't thinking of it that way. Then there'll be a new level that opens up because of the fact that our consciousness expands and now more information can come through that we can understand that we couldn't understand here.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, okay, well, it's on the recording. Remember, now you can schedule your next
I did it right now before I forget.
and for whenever that is, and fill out those questions and whatever you found is coming up. But things always come out in the session anyway. But it gives me something to play off of.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Tammy.
thank you.
You too, Sherry.
You.
All your stuff is awesome. I'm excited for you as well.
Oh, thanks. You too.
That's so cool. Wait, and we have 2 more months.
I know. This is awesome.
So here goes the momentum.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a
All
good
right.
evening. And
You as
oh,
well.
Wednesday. I'm playing with the worthy, deserving. Do that at 3.
Wednesday?
Yeah, the next like clearing energy healing work, where I just go live in the group and you guys can watch it.
Oh, I guess I missed that. I don't have it on my calendar, so I'll go check out the dates.
Yeah, I
that
think I put it somewhere.
okay.
It's
I'll,
in there.
you mentioned.
I noted some. I did at 3
Okay.
o'clock on Wednesday.
Okay.
Something I did. Yes.
All
And
right.
then those are the two main things. You got the future self one,
Yes.
and then there'll be sessions up until the next clarity call on March 30, or not March 30, March 21st. And then I'll do the one on receiving.
Okay. I'll find it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
Thank-
it'll just be a live. You'll just see me pop on at like 3
Yeah.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I'll just let whatever I keep playing. Okay, what am I doing?
Okay. Cool.
All right.
I'm hanging up now.
Okay. Bye.
All right.